And in order to break that spell of the tyrant, all you have to do is not follow his orders. It's not some kind of gigantic revolution with people, guns blazing and people on the streets. It is simply refusing to follow orders. And I would say the other side of that is taking that time, that energy, that attention, all of those resources that we put into building up this system that we all know is inhuman and is not functioning correctly, and taking that time and energy and putting it into what we want to create. And that's why, in fact, that is exactly why I started Solutions Watch, because as people in your audience may or may not know, I was doing something called Propaganda Watch for a few years before Solutions Watch. Back in, I think, 2017, I started. And that was me week after week after week after week looking at different pieces of propaganda and explaining to people what was happening, the psychological manipulations, the techniques that were being employed, how to protect yourself against them. I think it was some good and valuable work. But after a few years of that, I started to realize, hey, even myself, now that I'm doing this weekly series on propaganda, I'm always looking at and for propaganda. Oh, I could talk about that. Oh, I should talk about this. Oh, I should do this. And I'm always in that propaganda mindset. And it took me a few years, but I realized, okay, that's great and wonderful. And now we know that. But the much more important thing is, what do we do about it? And that's why I started Solutions Watch, so that instead of week after week after week after week looking at propaganda, now it's week after week after week after week looking at solutions and people with ideas. And certainly not all of the ideas will pan out and not all of them will work for you in your particular situation. But I think at the very least, just getting into the mindset of identifying solutions is an incredibly rewarding mindset to be in, because then you start to realize there really is power from us. We really do have power in our time, our energy, our attention, our resources, and we can start building the world that we want.